Join me in welcoming Dr. Jagannath Pati. He's a child rights and protection specialist, public policy leader, author, and senior Fulbright fellow. Over the last 25 years, Dr. Pati has helped shape India's child protection ecosystem, guiding the rehabilitation and adoption of almost 1 lakh children and forging powerful government civil society partnerships to advance digital, child centered governance. His leadership spans pivotal roles as Registrar of the National Commission of Protection of Child Rights and until March 2025, Director Program at the Central Adoption Resource Authority. Kara. A prolific writer and a sought after international speaker, he combines visionary policy insights with hands on action, always keeping children's rights, justice, and social equity at the heart of his work. Welcome, sir. Meera Marti is the CEO and co-founder of WAIC. Meera would be facilitating the session here onwards. Under her leadership, WAIC today works in 3 states in the country and continues to expand and be recognized for the work that we are doing. I'll hand over to you, Meera, and take care of any admin work that comes through.
Thank you so much, Pratima. Thank you. And sir, once again, a very warm welcome and welcome to all the participants on a Saturday morning. Thanks for being here. And I'm very, very excited to speak to Dr. Pati. We've been working with Dr. Pati for the past couple of years as a knowledge partner of Kara, and it gives me immense pleasure to speak to him today after he's retired from Kara. So, sir, I think my first question would be, you've spent decades, I think, championing child rights, both as a Fulbright Research Fellow, as Pratima mentioned, and senior leadership positions in NCPCR and Kara. Could you share what shaped your commitment to this field and what keeps you motivated and you keep pushing yourself for every child safety and rights? What is it that keeps you going?
Thank you. And for the brief introduction, and I'm happy to share my experiences. And the way back in 1999, when I joined Kara, it was, is a very difficult situation in the sense that the Juvenile Justice Act was not there, and also there were irregularities, illegal adoptions all over reported. And Kara was registered as an autonomous body in the year 99, and government set up basically for issuing no objection certificate in case of inter-country adoption. There should be no trafficking in the guise of adoption, and it was because of the direction of the Honorable Supreme Court of India in Lakshmikant Pandey Union versus Union of India. And then a series of directions, instructions, policies came out from the government, like different, 95 guidelines, then 2004 in-country guidelines, then 2006 inter-country guidelines, 2011 guidelines, then 2015, then 17, and now 2022. So over the years, taking feedback from experts from the states, Government of India, Kara, has streamlined, made all efforts to streamline adoption scenario in the country. And the motivation is because, when I joined Child Right Commission, and that was a much larger mandate, that is rights and of abused and neglected children. So whenever I have seen this, work with the government, state governments very closely, and the ministry, so I have seen that the government always encourages such committed, sentiments, and always have been positive to ensure that to reach the most deprived. And it is because of the government and the state partnership, and also associated agencies and authorities at the state level, that gave a sense of freedom and commitment. And whenever you have enjoy trust with the government, I think nothing remains, and you go ahead and you get support from the ministry and from all stakeholders. So we have expanded, I think, few adoption agencies, around 70 or 80. At that time, that was called as RIPA, Recognized Indian Placement Agencies. And now it is almost 700 plus adoption agencies in the country. So the commitment, it is something, it comes from within. And when you visit different childcare institutions all over the country, we have 5,000 plus childcare institutions, 700 plus adoption agencies. You find there are, I can say, good institutions and not good institutions. But when you, come across the work of good institution, it makes a difference. And the mandate of CARA also, with this becoming a statutory body, it is not only issuing NOC but also taking a lot of training and development activities, and also expanding non-institutional care like foster adoption, and also capacity building of all stakeholders. So over the years, CARA has been, from the mere issue of NOC, it has expanded its role, and just becoming functioning as a nodal think tank for the government.
Thank you, sir. So I think there's a lot of work, as you've said, a lot of work that has been done over the past, I think, 20 to 25 years. That said, today, when we look at Kara's dashboard and we see that, the number of children at the pool is less, whereas there are about 35,000 parents waiting, and about, it's a 3.5 hour wait specifically for the younger children. What do you think the government should do to ensure that more and more children come into the pool? Because we do know that there are children in shelters who can be in the pool. What do you think the government should do to increase the pool and make the pre-adoption process more efficient?
See, the thing is, the issue is clear that number of children do not reach adoption agencies or do not reach institutions through the child welfare committee. So the identification of children, that is priority. And the issue, see, you can see before 12 years or 13 years, the number of children and the number of waiting parents were almost the same. So the children, the parents used to get referral within maximum within 6 months or 4 months. So now you see large number of waiting parents and less number of children, almost the same. So there is a gap. So that is why it is taking so much of time, and this is not good for the parents. But one thing is clear: children do not wait. Children, the system has been made so transparent, digital, that anytime the child is legally free, the child gets referral the next day. So the child is not waiting. It is the parents, they have to wait. And one thing you can see, the special need children, of course, they are having special needs, and older children more than 7-8 years. Such children still they have to, because maximum parents, they want healthy infants and young children up to 6. So that is the reason. And what more we should do? Actually, we should expand training and development activities. I think at the state, and that CARA is doing already, but the more role from the civil society, that is important. And also the delay in child welfare committee, the steps, when the steps should be has been defined under the JJ Act and the JJ rules, there should be no delay as far as the steps are concerned. But some cases are very difficult to come to a consensus, because determining legal status of a child is the most sensitive job. CWC does its diligence, but sometimes we have seen that CWC, there is some kind of ignorance prevailing, and some bias in with some CWC members. So that is why that kind of orientation is required, and we have to reach the child welfare committee, because that is playing the gatekeeping role. So that is most important. Then one aspect, you see, now everything is digital, transparent. Now CARA has been connected with all, district magistrates, child welfare committee, DCPUs, and special adoption agencies within the country, and state government through SARA. So there is a greater monitoring system now. But why not children are not reaching? So there are other policy issues also, like you must be knowing that Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act is another piece of legislation, and which is in force. and there is less involvement of authorities and agencies under Hama. So any Hindu parent wants to give, it is more a parent-friendly legislation. So that is where it has to be streamlined also, because there is no central reporting. There is anything that can happen wrong that is happening under the face of Hama, Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act. But it is up to the government to take a decision on this. But Hama has to be streamlined, because there needs to be central registration also, because every child who is placed in adoption has to be safeguarded. So that is important. And
Thank you.
one more issue, that how can we expand adoption program in the country? It is through awareness efforts, and a number of children, older children who are coming through identification cell. They are we feel they're not oriented. They do not want to leave their peer groups. They have do not have that much orientation. So counseling is another part that has to be strengthened, both by, I think, at the state level, by the stakeholders and by the civil society actors like you. So this is what I have to say on this. And this long list of 3 years and plus. So see, it is up to the government to take decision, like if the parents are waiting more than 2 years, I think it is really painful, because 3.5 years, by the time the parents are adding their age and becoming older, and they want to suppose a 2-year child, the child is, of course, is not delayed, but they become their age is added. So therefore, maybe a temporary freeze on kind of registration of prospective adoptive parents can be taken up, or by due consultation, because that will help, because that creates a lot of anxiety. While handling at Kara, I have seen the parents waiting for 3 years and a half. They have a lot of anxieties, and they are genuine parents. They have followed all government procedure, but they have to wait. And that is why some kind of decision is also required on this direction.
Thank you, sir. So that brings me, so you did talk a little bit about older children adoption and how children are resistant sometimes. But we've also seen the other side where parents do adopt older children. We've actually seen an increase in our work itself, that older children are adopted. And for lack of better word, we are calling them older children. But we also see that parents are not prepared, sir. So how do we increase the older children adoption but avoid disruptions? Right? Can you throw some light on it? Because we do feel there should be a national level parent preparation program for the older children adoption specifically, right? So what do you think of that? Because that we feel will actually solve some of the problems. And as you mentioned, child preparation is equally important. So how can both of this, the child preparation and parent preparation, come from maybe a policy, type of reform, which or amendments to the adoption regulations can happen? Because as you mentioned, parents are growing older while they wait. So how do we counsel them, for older children adoption? And because yes, every child deserves a family. So how do we increase that along with preparing the parents and the children? So if you can throw some light on it, it will be great.
Say the children and the parents, parents and the older children, they have to be prepared well. So before, I think, 10-15 years, there were some support groups, parent support groups, they were active. So now I think this is the time to activate such parent associations. They can play a very important role in this regard, because they are the experienced adoptive parents. They can better counsel. And some of the adoption agencies, they do this counseling of parents very strictly, and before I think conducting home study, and after conducting home study they do, and that is already provisioned in Kara regulations, you can see. And I think the whatever counseling we are doing at present, it is not adequate, what I have understood. So therefore, I think some kind of template development is required for all experts. I think for adoption counseling, because adoption counseling is a very specialized area. It is not like any other counseling. Even a social worker of an agency or an institution can play an important role than the expert. So therefore, it can be further streamlined in the country, and also the older children, wherever they are institutionalized, they have to see. Suppose one example I would like to say. Suppose if you see them, visit them, because they do not have orientation about the family. But when social workers interacting with post-adoption follow-ups of different already children placed
Yes.
with the family, so it gives a different impression. So there are good institutions and not good institutions. In the good institutions, the older children, they say, "Ki when our parents will come,"
Mm. Mm. Okay.
they are prepared well. And
Mm.
when I can say not good institutions, you can say the children always say, "No, I don't want to go in adoption. I'm happy with my friends, so I'm going to school." So they are not prepared well. Similarly,
Mm.
another example, I'll tell you the institutions where there is regular turnover. So social worker, staff, superintendent, they are leaving 6 months, 3 months, 2 months. So that is one kind of institution. And another institution where you see that the child care staff are in the age of nani, dadi, and they have stayed for 25 years, 30 years. So these are, you can compare the type of institution. They are better institutions. So such institutions and such good practices need to be replicated and to be encouraged.
Thank you, sir. So that brings me to my next question is that yes, you did say that certain institutions are doing counseling well, certain there are some institutions which are not. But how can it be made made a common kind of thing? Because then some children benefit from it, some children don't. And we do want every child to benefit from this. So how can that be done? Where there is a common regulation which says that every institution has to have a certain set of preparation programs. How can that be done for all the 5,000 odd institutions you mentioned and the SARS?
I think
Any
Kara.
ideas you have on that? Yeah.
Yes, yes. Kara has been developing some kind of template on this, and maybe because Kara is a nodal body, and maybe if the instruction is passed from Kara to all stakeholders, state government, that would be mandatorily followed. And Kara has earlier also circulated, OMs for counseling, and there is already provision in pre-adoption and adoption, post-adoption counseling in the adoption regulation. It is very role of adoption agency, district child protection unit, and state adoption resource agency. So that has to be strictly followed. And I have one more suggestion that for developing for efficiency, whatever in the system, I think there is need to have some kind of award scheme, like a maximum number of children restored to the biological families by Child Welfare
Yes.
Committee. Similarly, maximum legally free certificate issued by Child Welfare Committee. Similarly, say maximum adoption completed by any agency, and also maximum special needs children placed by particular agency, and maximum older children placed by agency. So, so this kind of motivation rewards can also motivate our functionaries and our stakeholders.
Okay, that's a great point, sir. I think a rating system for the CCIs, as I think we discussed once, I think will also help. So thank you so much for that suggestion, sir. So there's this important question always burning in our minds because we work in three states, and so far in the three states, we've seen close to about 60, between 60 to 70% of children have families, but they still are living in institutions. We know that recently Kara has introduced foster care rules, guidelines, etc. But according to you, are we prepared to go the foster care way for a country like India, where sometimes implementation of these rules is so difficult on the ground? Are we ready to go the foster care way, or should we do something different to, maybe in the policy reform or in other ways to ensure these children are with families?
See, children, if you visit childcare institutions, you will find sometimes the parents, they are well off, they are keeping the children just like hostel. And sometimes there is single mother, and there is a reason to keep the child for some time
Correct.
because the
Correct.
child is getting education, food, shelter, whatever.
True. True.
So all such children, they cannot be placed in adoption. Okay, so
Yes.
if you see the child care priority, the first priority is family restoration and family strengthening efforts, restoration efforts. So that has to be exhausted. So I think maximum effort has to be have to be placed to ensure that child is connected with the family, with the guardian, with the relative, whatever. So this has only then, because it is a very dilemma for child welfare committee to take decisions in such situations. So therefore, the other categories of children, the five category of children like orphan, abandoned, surrendered, then no visitation and unfit parent, particularly no visitation and unfit parent, these cases to be expedited, and
Mhm.
the timeline has to be followed, and the stakeholder like the linkage, the district child protection officer, DCPO, who that plays a key role. The DCPO has to really active and proactive rather to ensure that things, the steps to be completed. See, for everything, for pre-adoption procedure, there is a set of documents to be obtained, set of steps to be completed. So that is uniform all over the country as per the Juvenile Justice Act and as per the Juvenile Justice Rule. So therefore, the DCPO has to do the diligence. And I know DCPO has a lot of work to do, but particularly as far as such children are concerned, there have to be the procedure has to be completed in a time bound manner. And there are children we have seen as such, why such children should be preferred in foster care, because earlier there was no system of online foster care. Now Kara has developed online system, and so many foster parents have registered, and also there have been some foster, around 40 plus foster adoption cases done for older children. And this has to be, this has to be ethically and
Mm.
transparently and timely followed by all DCPOs in the country, in the sense whenever DCPO log on, enter to the IT application, the DCPO is able to see how many children are available for foster care. Similarly, how many foster parents are available to foster children. So it is slow now, but it has to be expedited. It has to be expedited so that older children, because if older children are placed in foster care and leading to foster adoption, that is 100% success, win-win situation, because most important document is 2 year stay, and where both the child and the parent, they agree to to live with each other. Then also the LFA, legally free for adoption certificate. And there are difficult cases which take where the LFA takes a lot of time. So
Mhm.
such children, instead of staying in the institution, can stay in the foster care. But now it is gaining ground, and it has to be, there is a foster care guideline, and it has to be further strengthened, I believe.
So, sir, just to one small additional question on the foster care. So, sir, we have seen that the implementation of adoption process itself is so slow, and so they're so resistant to do the adoption process. How do you think it is different for foster care, and why do you think that foster care will gain ground, but adoption is not? Because there are children to be evaluated for adoption, but we see so much resistance, so much, as you said, time bound. Time is something which the DCPO does not even keep track of. And it is, with a lot of follow-ups that we have to, make a child legally free for adoption. So why do you think, or why is there so much confidence about foster care, whereas adoption, we have not been able to see those results?
See, adoption, you can see one thing, the child is not waiting. The parents have to wait because of the reasons that there are more registration of the parents. So, as far as child procedure is concerned, it is entirely streamlined. But as far as foster care is concerned, it has not been very frequently done in all parts of the country. It has been some places only, Karnataka, then Maharashtra, some of the places. But now all states, you will find they've started foster care sponsorship and other alternative care. So the mission Vatsalya, that is also being revamped by the government, and also this carings will be part of the mission Vatsalya. So more detailed information will be able, I think, can be accessed by the district child protection officer, and so there will be clear-cut monitoring by the DM concerned, by the state concerned, by the ministry concerned. So foster care is something that belongs to the state government. The state has to, wherever the state government has involved actively, there is a good result. So state has to take initiative and I think do the small consultation at the district and the state level, so that there is more awareness about the IT application and about the procedure and about the guidelines also.
It's good to know, sir, that there is going to be a monitoring piece of it, because we always felt that that was a little less on the ground where nobody was monitoring the progress of the children's cases. So it's good to know that that is going to happen soon. Um, so, which comes to my next question is, there have been a lot of policy reforms and a lot of talk about adoption in general, right? At least in our ecosystem, in our circles, we talk a lot about adoption. But despite that, we do see there is, even talking about the legality of adoption, we see a lot of illegal adoptions, abandonment, social stigma is still prevalent in, in the society. So what do you think we can do to amplify messages about, surrender process? And because child abandonment again is is on the rampant, which leads sometimes to, of course, illegal adoptions. So what can, the public, in general, or civil societies like us do to amplify these messages, and how can we collaborate with the government? What is your view about that? How do we collaborate with the government to ensure that this messages reach far and wide?
Even adoption, legal adoption, there is less awareness in the society, and even it should start from the school level, adoption, foster care, and there should be some kind about the juvenile justice system. There should be some chapter in school curriculum. So understanding the basic things, that should start. Then something about this. Why the parents are sometimes afraid or sometimes doubt to follow the legal adoption procedure. They discuss in such a way, like you see, if you are entering registration Kara, you have to wait for 3.5 years. So better to go for shortcut and see if your child is available somewhere. So this the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act also is a law of the country, and there has to be a registered deed, and even registered deed is not mandatory. There has to be a ceremony. So that advantage is taken, but it is up to the government to look into both the laws and come to a conclusion that whether we can have a special chapter on all Hindu adoptions in the Juvenile Justice Act itself, because Juvenile Justice Act itself is a complete legislation, is a child-friendly legislation. If there is possibility to have a small chapter on other adoptions, like a Hindu community, because adoptions among Hindus is as old as the Indian civilization itself. So that cannot be denied. And there is already a child protection mechanism in place. So therefore, this is up to the government to decide whether the amendment is possible, or and the civil society to also make awareness, create awareness at the local level about legal adoption and illegal adoption. Suppose adopting through Kara is legal, no, even adopting through Hama procedure, following Hama procedure is legal, but adopting directly from the nursing home or purchasing, sale, purchase, or whatever, these are all illegal adoptions. Kara has been disseminating a lot of messages in the social media for be aware of illegal adoptions. So that is something, and I think civil society can play a lot of role in this regard.
Thank you, sir. So finally, sir, before we take a lot of questions, I think in the chat box, before we close our questionnaire, what do you think about WIC's work, and what is the importance today? Because we are working in this space now for almost 6 years, and you know all about the work we do. What do you think about our work and how important it is for the children in shelters?
See, identification of children, that is most important priority as far as the rights of children are concerned, because children are not reaching. First of all, you have to reach the
Yes.
children, then you have to identify, then you have to determine the legal status. So lot of efforts are required. Although mechanism in place, and if you are playing the role like knocking everybody in the child protection hierarchy, so it is good, and it is always appreciated that the sometimes the child protection system is busy in some other work, they are not attentive, but pushing the cases as per the regulations, as per the law of the country is something, I think, inevitable, which cannot be avoided. So that you are doing, and that is good. And I think identification of children, the states are taking in their own way, but somehow this exercise has to be expedited.
Thank you, sir. So, Pratima, we can maybe take some questions.
Yeah. We have a related question, I think Santosh is asking. So you already talked about incentivizing the CCIs, the SA, in terms of agency performance. I think he has a question about the DCPOs and DCPUs also. So how do we ensure that they also give priority to children's adoption? They seem to act only when they get a memo or instruction from superiors. But are there ways that we can encourage them also to look at this as a priority area?
For example, foster adoption, the SA and the CCI are less involved, but the DCPO is more involved in foster adoption cases. So there are some cases of even relative adoptions. The DCPO is the key stakeholder. So if such adoptions are encouraged, and wherever the districts have played important role, I think if they are recognized, first of all, so that should be, I think that should be a way to encourage them. And the how to it is how to motivate them. It is it is a very larger issue, because at the state level they are district level they are occupied with different work. Maybe once the state takes interest, I think definitely the DCPUs will also be activated. The state, the juvenile justice, the directory, whatever, controlling the child welfare and the child CWCs, DCPUs and the CCIs, if they, I think somewhere the issue is kept. I have found that if the issues are kept before the concerned officer in the state government, then they take note of it. And once they understand and they push, I think it results in the bottom level. The DCPU simply has to be further, I think it can expedite the things.
Right.
So that is one issue.
So to add to that, sir, do you think there needs to be a common incentive structure for the DCPUs to do this work, which you mentioned early on in the session itself? So is that something which can be common, from a national level? Can it be made common across, saying that, okay, this many adoptions, maybe this is the incentive, or, give them a certificate, give them some recognition? Can that help?
Yes. So
because that
already,
is not being done right now.
That I already discussed. I think some kind of this recognition is necessary for the grassroots level workers and DCPO. I think the government depends a lot on the DCPO, particularly District Child Protection Officer.
True.
Wherever DCPO is proactive, things go away. Wherever it is not, then it is busy. So it is required.
True.
So there are a couple of procedural questions also. I'll take one or two. So Preeti is asking, earlier we used to have options for all India, but now the option is to keep under one zone or 3 states. This reduces the option for parents, including couples who are intercultural. Was there a reason for this change? Is this change, can this be changed again? But yeah, that's the question.
See, first of all, this is all the government does from the time to time,
Yeah.
depending on the, getting feedback from the parents, from the stakeholders. So this regional priority, is based on the feedback from the consultations of all stakeholders. And earlier it was not. So why it has been? Because there will be more assimilation of children with the culture of the parents. So if regional basis, so there are 6 regions, and I think it is doing well. And largely, it is. I think there. I think whenever I have seen, not many complaints on the change of, bulky appreciation that zonal system. That yes, we are from belong to that zone. So suppose husband belongs to south and wife belongs to north, so they can have option of either north or south. So they have got flexibility, and in a way, it is taking 3 years plus. So that is the only big challenge for the adoption process, I tell you. And as far as the grievance is concerned, most of the grievance, maximum grievance on waiting period. So if that can be addressed, I think the rest of the things are so easy. No issue.
Yes.
And the child formalities are in place. The all over the country, the same procedure is followed by the stakeholders. It is very simple, and everybody knows it. The thing is that some agencies, some stakeholders, they do everything in a timely manner, but some not. So their intervention is required.
Great. So thank you so much. So a couple of questions have come in around older children adoption. So Girija is asking, is there any template for caregivers to help them prepare the children for leaving the SA or the CCI, especially the older children? Anything like that being worked upon?
I think if you see the juvenile justice rule, so there are child care standards provided in the juvenile justice care rules. So what is but on specific older children, I think I have not come across older children specific guidelines separately, but we normally follow the state normally follows the state rules or the national model rules, juvenile justice rules. So there you will find that these are required. So that is followed all over the country because they are all very standardized, very standardized. So it is very difficult to confirm the same also, but it has been standardized through the juvenile justice rules.
Okay. Okay. So that's one place we can look at when one comes to a template for the caregivers. Right. So there's one more question Hannah is asking. Is there a way to make sure that the SA and the CCIs provide families with past counseling reports or the history of children, specifically older children? We see many parents who were not told of their children's history and disclosed trauma until later, and these cases are more likely to be disrupted.
Yes, this is very interesting question. See, the before before referral is finalized, suppose referral gone, yeah, they are adopting through direct reservation. Mostly older children are adopted through direct reservation. Special need children are adopted through direct reservation. In such cases, it has been provided as much information to be provided to the foreign agency, to the prospective adoptive parent, whoever. So I personally think there is I think there should be, it should be facilitated rather. Whatever as information is available for the child, I think such information should be facilitated, and because that will help placement decision and decision taken by the prospective adoptive parent. That will facilitate.
I think I understand why Hannah is asking this question, sir, because I think even for international adoptions, when there are children with trauma who are coming into the family is unable to handle that kind of trauma, then there is disruption. Right? Though the international family is already very well prepared with, whatever training they've been given. So the same case with the domestic family, when they come and there are children who have trauma and they've not been given enough information, and the children start talking about their past, and that's where I think we've seen there are disruptions where the child has started to talk and they didn't get that information from the SA and CCI. So I think maybe that is something which can be focused on, because it helps, especially with older children. I think
Yes,
it helps to
yes,
know their background, and
yes.
because otherwise I think the parent is sometimes clueless as to what to do with the information the child is giving.
And I have a suggestion also in this regard, like the parents adopting older children, they should spend 1 or 2 weeks maximum, minimum before taking custody of the child,
Sure.
because they have to understand the nutrition, the behavior, and everything, more information about the child. So they can talk to the child care staff or whatever possible. So otherwise they come in the, sometimes we have seen they are very hurried to take the child and go, and they are not prepared, and that has led to disruption also. So that is why it is one aspect is more information, then preparation,
Yes.
and also spending time with the older child for a few days. So that
Mm.
should be, it should, the child himself should say that yes, I am willing, and and now I can leave the institution. So the child should know staying with a family and staying in the institution. So that difference they do not know, and they are not allowed to know. So that is why the even sometimes the adoption agency, they are hurry up. Okay, it is done. You can go. So that is
Yes.
required. That is a point to note.
Mm.
There's another comment or a suggestion. I think Kumar Vineet has written that for children above 3 to 4 years, can there be a language filter to match the PAPs? Because communication can become a problem when bonding. This can also eat up the limited option that is given to the PAPs for selection or matching. Given the language diversity in India, it can be a problem in the initial step itself.
You see, what we have seen, children up to the younger children, like up to 5, 6 years, they normally adjust. They normally adjust what we have seen. And as far as this technology is concerned, I think I have AI tools maybe operational for the category of special needs and for the categories of older children. Suppose somebody is is a footballer, is a player of the parents, and they want to have some kind of have a child who is having more interest in sports, so that can be matched. So when they go to the like immediate placement children or children available in the online hard to place children, and they can see the suppose there are 200 children available, what are the 5 children or 3 children that match most with the temperament of the
Parent.
parents. And similarly for the child also, instead of for the parents, the child wants to go to only a couple, not to a single mother or single whatever. So that kind of there can be discussion on this. So using AI tools for matching can be it needs a lot of discussion. It can, but there is a possibility for special needs. So children having special needs, I think suppose they somebody wants to hearing, all hearing have a problem children, and there are partial hearing loss and there are fully. So parents are interested for partial hearing. So such kind of children can be made available, and the decision will be fast. So maybe at a time. And if you see this in some of the countries I have seen, they very if a special need child, they project the child, the positive attitudes of the child, that is played in such a manner that this is what we have to pick up. We have to give more, I think, emphasis on placing children of special needs children with families. So we have to highlight their positive traits. That is something more important.
So who do you think should do this? Should this come from Kara, or what do you think? Because what you said is a great thing, and we've seen that. I think there is a website called Rainbow Children, and where they
Yes.
actually advocate for children with special needs, and who do you think should take this up? Is it the civil society's role, or because then the issue of data protection, data privacy, all that comes. So who do you think should be doing
I
these
think I think
new this stuff?
I think the civil society can write to Kara, and Kara can develop kind of that helps everybody. Suppose whatever, see, when Kara does any circular or any protocol, so all the agencies, they have to follow, and they follow it also. So that is more important. If a certain kind of issue is taken up by Kara as a nodal
Mm.
body, then that will help. And
Okay,
at the same
got it.
time, at the ground level, the efforts can go. That doesn't stop any good work done by the NGOs and civil society.
Yes. So there needs to be a public-private partnership at some
Yeah.
point to make these things run smoothly. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so I'll move to the next one. There's a question from Eva Barrett. Eva, I am not able to understand the question. You can always unmute yourself and add further. But what she's written is, what is the process to request our file record? If the director of the orphanage refused to give us our file, to whom should we send this request, please? Thank you. So,
See, I think this is something they're talking of the referral process.
All three.
If see what happens if there is a referral, the rest of the protocol is available in the adoption regulations. So whenever there is some kind of issues with the uh, adoption agency, they can write to SARA and also KARA, State Adoption Resource Agency, and also KARA, and definitely there will be some kind of response from them.
a bunch of questions again from the WIC team because we deal with the DCPUs and CWCs every
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
Shruti is
Yeah.
asking a question, just like incentivizing, is it also possible to give, see, we know that at least 30% of the children in CCI can potentially become legally adoptable. Is it possible to create a goal for states and the DCPU? Can we measure them as to how they're doing, their progress, etc.? Would that be possible?
Actually, the first priority comes this family preservation, and if somebody, we have found some cases where the biological parents or the roots or the relatives or the guardians, they've been found even after referral, even after adoption order. So through Aadhaar card or through something. So that is why first effort is to ensure that somebody has no claimant at all. No claimant at all. So that is the first priority. If that is proven, then comes the other declaring the legal status and everything, and whether foster care or adoption or whatever the priority of rehabilitation can be taken care of. So when the DCPU actually, what happens, we have found that information are not readily available. Child related information is not readily available. Suppose somebody, distant relative, has left the child in the institution and has never come back. So there can be efforts like reaching the particular place, sending communication, and after sending, at least making 3-4 exercises. And if there is no effort, then the I think exercise, whatever taken, can be kept before the child welfare committee. And child welfare committee is the competent body to take decision. So that is possible. And we should not say them as percentage, but I have seen many childcare institutions where only a fraction of children are having without any parents. Somebody is there, some relative, somebody has loved something. So maybe at a later stage they are found when the children are in the jail or on unfit category. So the children, it takes a lot of time for declaring their legal status. So maybe such there can be priority children. So there can be priority children. So that is why we can Kara also monitors it, and also the SARA similarly at the district level. So that can be worked out to ensure. See, you are working in 3 states. You see, there are number of states,
Yes,
and there are large number of childcare institutions in the country. Now, Kara has further streamlined the number of childcare institutions and number of adoption agencies. So there are children who can be adopted, but they are older children. They have challenges, and the counseling is required so that it should be hassle-free, no disruption. Because if there is disruption, hurriedly we do something, it is disruption, then it is not a win-win approach. So we should be very, very careful for placing an older child, and even that is why there is flexibility in case of older child to decide at the state level, district level. Oh, so if the DCPU, the SARA can see how many children are available, how many parents are available. So there can be such children. Suppose a child is not getting family for 2 years, 1 year, whatever. So such children can be identified and can be discussed with the parents whenever they can say you register here, and in the next day you will get referral or whatever you can do matching, because children are available. So proactive efforts are required. So whatever SARA or DCPU or any stakeholder, if there is no proactive approach, then things are not going to happen. This is a profession, I believe, where you need both head and heart.
Yeah.
So if there is no combination, then it is just like any other work we're doing. So one has to be functioning with that spirit and motivation. And definitely, whatever you see, last 25 years, where we have reached now, we have reached to a level, and CARA is the service of CARA is well recognized all over the country. And we have come to a stage with the transparency and ethical practices, digitalization, and where one can, for normal children, one can join the queue, one cannot jump the queue. And so this is this there is more bharosa, you can say, faith on the government system, on the government protocol. Many a times I've seen parents are coming and they're asking whether we can do expedite for us, whether we can go for subslots. So there is a simple answer: no, because there is a protocol laid down. You have to follow the protocol, and you will get a child.
Piyush has a question, I think, about Hama. Piyush, you can unmute yourself and ask.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, my question is very, very simple. As per Section 56(3) of the JJ Act, Hama adoptions are not covered under Adoption Regulations 2022. Right. Now, if a PAP wants to adopt a child without interference of CARA or the JJ Act, where he should go? Because not many lawyers are conversant with the Act. Secondly, if the person PAP goes to DCPU or SARA, he is advised that they are not aware about Hama adoptions. What can he do in such a case?
Yes. See, the issue related to Hama, as I've already discussed, it has to be further streamlined. Hama is still a law of the country, and Hindu adoption is as old as our civilization. So the adoption of mostly relatives are done sometimes. They are not relatives. So Hama adoptions are very simple, but some kind of registration system should be involved to ensure safeguards. And whenever you have raised, particularly the issue comes, there is no issue as far as domestic adoption is concerned. But in case of inter-country adoption, there are issues because the CARA has to follow the Hague regulation, and where the Hama allows such adoptions. So I think this is time. Government has already CARA are already aware of these kind of issues. They may be discussing and coming out some kind of making it more simpler, and so that parents should not run from pillar to post, which they are doing. They should follow the right procedure, and Hama should whether there should be amendment in Hama or not, and whether the certain, like other adoption, a chapter should be inserted in Juvenile Justice Act. It is up to the government to decide, and after holding consultation, government may take up steps. But government, I think these are issues already discussed a lot of times, and yes, it is a problem now. So this has to be addressed.
Sir, there is no problem as such, and so long as the rules are not changed or modified, we have to go by the existing rules. And by the existing rules, many adoptions are already taking place across the country. And for the knowledge of participants, I filed a petition. I represent Temple of Healing Secretary Dr. Piyush Saxena. I filed a PIL in Honorable Supreme Court, and we argued for 3 years. Some concrete observations came out, and they were basically like Hindu adoptions are irrespective or beyond control of CARA. And if another thing, out of 4,500 adoptions in the country last year, mostly, rather 85-90% or even more, they are Hindus. They are unnecessarily go to CARA or JJ Act for adoption process. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can hear you.
Yeah. So Hindu adoption is very simple that way. My only prayer to Kara and the ministry is that at the district level, when the PAPs approach them for adoptions under Hama, they should be positively advised and carefully considered so that these adoptions take place and unnecessarily such a long process could well be avoided. That's all.
So, just concluding it, because he has already brought the matter before the Honorable Supreme Court of India, and the government is aware of all this. And yes, Juvenile Justice Act offers a lot of adequate safeguards. So, and there are institutions in place, authorized agencies, authorities, and the inter-country adoptions of children are recognized all over the globe under the Juvenile Justice Act. While Hama has some issues that government has to decide how simply how it can make more simpler. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
So we are running out of time. Probably I'll just take one last question. I think Archana, again on the procedural part, she's asking a small clarification needed. After referral, reserving time for parents is quite less, where some agencies sometimes share incomplete reports to PAPs, and also the agencies are not reachable to contact. Is there any, in this kind of cases, what's the remedy for a PAP? What should we do?
See, this protocol is in place for last 10 years or more. 2015, yes, 10 years plus. So 48 hours for Indian parents and 96 hours for foreign parents.
Right.
And the parents are getting child study report, medical examination report, photograph, and basic information. So immediately once referral comes, they can contact, and they can see, they contact the adoption agency also, and they can see the video or whatever. So they can, on that basis, they can take informed decision to reserve or not reserve, because if we consider more time, then again the child is institutionalized further.
Right.
So after much thought, we have, I think, about to this enhancing the time period, I think we have hardly come such question ever, because 48 hours seems to be fine, 48 hours. And whenever there is any issues, so they contact, the parents contact Kara Help Desk, the SARA, the adoption agency, and the issue is resolved. Because they have to get child study report and medical examination report. Sometimes medical examination report is not properly done. So that is the Kara intervenes or the SARA intervenes in such cases. So this, I think, for me, I think my understanding 48 hours is fine.
All right. Thank you so much. So questions keep coming. So, Mira, I'll look at you. Would you like to take any more? Any last panel one, or should?
Yeah, I think one. Sorry, go ahead, sir.
Yes. No, two questions.
Yeah, I think I wanted to, and I think Santosh has brought it up very well. I think the fact that, sir, there are so many older children also in the shelters is because we've not made them aware that there is surrender process early on, right? To the guardians or the parents who have left them and they don't visit, etc. So how do you think the government can do a large scale, we call it safe surrender. I know it's not something Kara uses. How can we do a large scale surrender awareness campaign like the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, which was done by the government? Because we still see thousands of infants being abandoned in god-forsaken places, toilets, railway tracks. It is very heartrending sometimes to see these news, where children, infants are bitten by stray dogs. So every day I wake up to such news. And how can this? I know Kara has done some campaigns in the last few weeks. I've been seeing that they're doing some campaign on this. But I think, sir, how can this be more at a national level where it just becomes like, as I said, the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan? What can civil societies do? How do we collaborate? I think because it's a big, we believe it's a big problem today in India.
Ministry takes up the issues with the state governments at the highest level. Similarly, Kara also takes up with the state government. So, but that doesn't prevent you as a civil society to take up issues at the state level and district level particularly. So there are, instead of having a whole state conference or workshop, whatever, if you combine 4-5 districts and at district level, I think there can be more micro level discussion on, and who can be called, the child line, the DCPU, the CCI, so they should know, okay, what is what, and if they have the basic knowledge or not, and the CWC also. So if that kind of effort is, because it is not possible to have their meeting from the Kara for the ministry all the time, but state does maybe annually or 2 or 3 times. But at civil societies, they can have their kind of workshop at the grassroots level and come out with facts, and also tell them to suppose there are these kind of issues, how you have to address them. Suppose Kara has also developed some kind of, how to child welfare committee, they have different questions in different occasions. So such kind of issues can be addressed. And I think that will be more one-to-one reaction than it can be for a half a day. It will not a full day. So the determining legal status of the children is most important, and how to reach them, how to declare LFA, and that is sensitive. So therefore, there should be knowledge, because the basic knowledge, if there is no basic knowledge on act and rules and guidelines, so then it is difficult to deal.
So your suggestion is to do it at a micro level instead of, at the macro level, so that it percolates up. Okay, sir. Makes sense.
Sir, Eva has clarified her question. She's an adult adoptee from France. So her question about getting the file was for herself, and her child form was very light and there was not much info. So what is it that she can do? I think it's a root search related question.
This is a root search related question, and Kara can be informed. Okay. But I can say that before 2000, before 1990, Kara started issuing almost the same time, 1995. And prior to that, maybe which is the old case, and similar cases come to Kara. Very difficult to get to their roots, but they can write to Kara, and Kara can further send to state and the adoption agency to see if some information is available. Because in case of abandoned cases, so there is no chance of getting anything. But in case of surrender by onward also, there is a parent. And in case of surrender by, then if there are some information available, that can be, efforts can be made in this. But they should not go to third person. I think that is my advice. They should always follow Kara and the state.
I hope you got the answer there, Eva. Please get in touch with Kara to help you get to the information that you're looking for. I think we'll stop here, sir. Thank you so much, everybody, for sending so many questions. I know we could not respond. Quite a bit of these were suggestions, discussions also happening in the chat. It was very interesting to see how everybody was writing there. So we'll try and see as much we can respond even after this session. But thank you so much, sir, with the patience with which you answered everything, and the, in the sporting spirit you took all the questions and the suggestions also.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a very enriching section. I think we took away a lot as civil society, what we need to do and what we need to improve upon. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye.